Hello, my name is Toby. Microsoft Outlook is the world's leading PC-based personal information manager. It began life in 1997 as an email application, but now with Outlook 2010 it incorporates contact management, appointment management and much more. We're going to be looking at Outlook 2010 on the Windows 7 operating system. If you're using it on Windows XP or Windows Vista, some things might look slightly different, but the approach should always be the same, and there shouldn't be any significant differences between the way that you do things and the way that I'll be doing things. So there's a lot to learn about Outlook. Let's get started. First of all, let's see how to get Outlook started on our PC. There are a few ways, but the two that you're most likely to use are these. If you go to the Start menu, click on All Programs and then look for the group Microsoft Office, Outlook 2010 will be within that group. Let's just close it down again. The other likely and most popular way that you will start it is using a desktop shortcut. I've got one here for Microsoft Outlook 2010 and away I go. To close it down again, there are again a couple of options. The main one is to just use the close button in the top right corner. I'm going to open it again from the Start menu. Once you've used it a few times, it will move here onto the main area of the Start menu unless you arrange things otherwise to avoid you going through the Office group. Okay, it's started. Now let us start to look at what we can see in the Outlook workspace. If you're new to Outlook, or if you've used an older version, say 2003 or older, the workspace that we're looking at now may seem quite unfamiliar to you. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time first of all explaining it. Along the top of the space you have the ribbon, which is a common feature of all of the elements of Microsoft Office 2010. It was also actually in 2007 as well. Along the top of the ribbon are a number of tabs, and if I select a tab, it shows me a whole range of commands that in some way are grouped together or relevant to each other. I'm going to click on the View tab to begin with. I now have effectively 4 panels of information. The thought that it's always 4 can be a little bit deceptive, but for the moment think of it as 4. On the left we have the navigation pane, and if I go up to the ribbon there is a button here called Navigation Pane, and if I click on that I can see that Normal is selected. If I were to select Minimized instead, it would appear to disappear, but actually it's on the left hand edge here. That is the navigation pane in its minimized form. Put it back to normal, or I can switch it off altogether. That's an important aspect of all of these elements to understand. This is the reading pane. Reading pane I can put on the right as it is now. I can put it at the bottom. It's now that area. Or I can switch it off. I'll put it back to right. And over here I have the to-do bar. Looking at what we just did with the navigation pane, you may be able to guess what form that's in. Yes, it's minimized. If I bring it to normal, I get calendar dates, list of appointments and so on. We'll be coming back to in a little while. I can also of course switch it off. Let's put it back to minimized. And if you've used any other applications in the Office 2010 set, you'll know what happens if I click the File button. Here I get Outlook 2010's Backstage View, which is also going to be extremely important. Switch it off by clicking on File again. As I said during the introduction, Outlook started out as a purely email program, and so email is still a very fundamental part of what it can do for us. So that we start to get a feel of how the workspace actually operates, let's look at email, a couple of very simple examples. In the navigation pane on the left, you can see one item highlighted, and it's labelled Inbox 2. This is the inbox for one of my email accounts. I'll talk more about those accounts in a moment. And if I click, I have two items that are highlighted here. These are actually emails that I haven't actually read. If I click on one of those items, it is selected, and the reading pane now contains the email that I've received. I can see who sent me the email, which is a UK company, electronics company. And if I'd like to get a bigger view of the email, if I double click on this, the email opens out into a separate reading window. More details are there. One of the features of the email I'm looking at the moment is that there are actually some graphics in it that have been suppressed for security reasons. This is going to be a common feature when I'm looking at any items in Outlook, and if you have adequate security, you're going to encounter the same situation. If I hover over this area, click on it with the left mouse button, click on Download Pictures, then I see the email as it was sent. Just downloading the pictures, and there we are. There's my email with all of the pictures included. And basically reading an email is just about as simple as that. How about sending an email? I actually need to invite my friend Larry over for dinner tomorrow night. So I'm going to send him an email now. I'm currently looking at the Home tab, and on the very left of the Home tab there's actually a new email button. Click that, and up comes a message window. On that window I have a To button, which I can use to select the people or person I'm going to send the email to, CC button, which tells me who I'm going to copy on the email, and the subject of the email. So just to remember what I'm going to send the email about, dinner on Thursday. For the To, if I don't want to select using that button, I can start typing the name or address of the person who I'm going to send it to, and Outlook will normally fill the name in for me when I get a certain part way through my typing. So if I start with, actually that's great, because as soon as I type L, it's come up with the guy's name. Now in the body of the email I type the text, and collect a little typing error there. Notice how Outlook highlights for me a mistyped word. That's fine, and then to send the email I merely click on the send button. My friend Larry also has a work email account, and I've just noticed in my inbox that I've got an email from him here related to work. In fact, it's to do with a Microsoft Working Together on Projects initiative, and he's forwarded that on to me, and I'm just going to reply to him to let him know I've got the message and I'm going to read it. So if I open it, I have a reply option. It gives me the option to automatically download pictures. I'll say yes for the moment. In my reply I can say, "Hi Larry, got the message. Let's discuss over dinner tomorrow. Regards, Toby, and I can send that. Close the original email, and that's the second email I've sent. The second one was a reply to an email received. When I've sent emails, I usually want to keep a copy for myself. Not everybody does, but most people do. Just finally in this section, let's have a look at where those copies go. I have here under the inbox folder a sent items folder, and there are the 2 emails that I've just sent. I have a system whereby every now and then I file those away in folders specifically related to the subject matter, but that's a subject for later on in the course. For the moment, I'm going to leave them there and tidy them up later. In the next section, we're going to look at the other aspects of Outlook, the non-email ones, such as handling appointments, tasks, contacts, and so on. I'll see you then.